Welcome to Season 4 of Under the Sisterhood, Women's March for Mental Wellness. This season, we're diving deep into the intersection of women's mental health and overall wellness, bringing you thought-provoking conversations every Friday. We'll explore a wide range of topics, including how mental health impacts every stage of a woman's life, the intricate connections between physical and emotional well-being, and the role of practitioners who champion mental wellness. This podcast celebrates women, their resilience, and the incredible contributions they make to our world. I'm Elizabeth Elfenbein. Let's get under the hood. Today, we're getting under the hood with Monique Cupid, a daughter, wife, mother, sister, auntie, clean beauty advocate, the co-founder and creative director of Life in the Pause, a platform dedicated to empowering and celebrating aging and the menopause journey. Passionate about redefining the menopause narrative, she turns this phase into a journey of empowerment and self-discovery. Her own experience was filled with challenges. Unaware of perimenopause in her late 30s, she spent years in confusion and isolation. Now in her early 50s, she uses her journey to raise awareness and ensure no other woman navigates this transition alone. Beyond Life in the Pause, Monique is the beauty and lifestyle creator of the Midlife Glow Chaser Brown Skin Green Beauty. An outspoken advocate for pro-aging and clean beauty, Monique continues to inspire women to embrace authentic beauty and advocate for safe and non-toxic cosmetics. Wow. Welcome, Monique.
Hey, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm absolutely thrilled to be getting under the hood with you today. It's season 4, Women's March for Mental Wellness. It's also Women's History Month. So I couldn't be more delighted to be getting under the hood with you. If it's okay, let's get going.
Sure. Yep.
Wonderful. So, Monique, I love asking this question because it's a really nice way to go on a journey and celebrate you in your life. What was the inflection point that really got you on into this, well aging and menopause and, mental wellness journey, if you will?
So, I mean, it started, my realization started in my 40s, late 40s, with the aging and where I am in aging according to society, like where midlife started, which is 40, and I was 48, and I'm like, what? Are you crazy? But at 48 is when I realized that in my 30s, I was going through a major depression and horrible mood swings. It just, that was like my darkest decade. And I realized at that moment, at 48, that I was really going through my whole perimenopause stage. And it kicked off, I believe, at 35. So I had my son. My son now is 24, and I had him at 30. And I thought for the first couple of months, believe it or not, I thought I was going through postpartum, and it was just really bad, and it was going on for a long time. And I'm like, wow, postpartum really lasts for years because it was just, I was going through just very to myself. It would be a sunny day outside, and I would be bundled up on the sofa, just not wanting to do anything. Um, my husband, just lashing out at him and just thinking, it's not me, it's you. Um, Not wanting to, just thought, what more was there to do in life? I didn't have any desire to want to participate in things, and I have to be there for my son and my family, but I would have enough energy to show up for that part. But then after that, it was just like, yeah, there's nothing that I want to do. There's nothing that I can do. Um, and just really looking at myself and thinking something was wrong with me, but not really taking the initiative to really do the work at the time. So, I mean, it was a long time that I was going through that dark phase, and by the grace of God, I pulled my and I should have went for help, but I put it on myself to pull myself out of it. And that could be a lot. And some people don't have that to do that on their own. And when I look back, I'm just like I was just going through the motion. It's just like, okay, you're in this funk, Monique. You don't like how you feel in this funk. What are we gonna do about it? Okay, so I'm going to figure out how I can find joy, because joy was definitely missing in my life at that point.
Mm.
And what brings me joy? I had to really dig deep to find out what would make me happy, just to get myself up in the morning and just feel good about the day and just being here on this earth. Um, so with that in mind, I really dug deep and I started to tap into play. So that play was my therapy. And how I played was I looked at other people who were in my age group, or older, I should say. I looked at people who were like, at the time I was in my 30s, so people who were like 5 years, 7 years older than me. And I was seeing how were they enjoying themselves at this time. And I was finding out that life really can thrive after, you know, after this dark day, right? Life can thrive. And I'm looking at certain celebrities who are like in their 40s, and how into music and concerts a lot. And I had a coworker who was a big fan of YouTube, and she would go to the concerts, and then she would go backstage, and I would look at her, I'm like, how old are you, and you're still doing these things, and she's finding so much joy. And then when I watched the band like Bono, and seeing him perform and run around this heart-shaped stage and have all this energy, I'm like, oh, this is doable. Like, this is doable. There's more to life than, what you think it is at that moment. But you have to find it, and you have to really do the work and dig deep. And that's what I did. And that's when I started to go out more and go to different events for things that I was interested in. And once I started tapping into that, the weight was starting to lift off my shoulders, because now I had something to help me release any kind of anxiety that I would have, just any kind of emotional craziness that would be going on in my head, that I was bit by bit finding a way to release it and to be able to enjoy myself again. Yeah.
Wow. Well, first of all, my heart is really heavy because I can't even imagine for you to say that that was, your darkest decade, to have that sort of experience. I wouldn't be surprised as well if it was postpartum, but then the combination of where you were age-wise, then it moved into perimenopause. I think what's interesting, even from my own experiences back then, I didn't even know what perimenopause was. It wasn't a phrase. So I
Right.
didn't really understand that what I was going through, there was a reason. Like I just continued on autopilot. So understanding, having just enough, to your point, to do what you needed to do to sort
Mhm.
of get through the day. I mean, that's a lot. That's really heavy. But I think what's also interesting, Monique, is getting out also got you outside of yourself and
Mhm.
into others, into a whole bigger world. And I think sometimes there's so much power in that connectedness, even if it's through music, dance, or whatever. So I'm curious. So you started going out. So the way you did the work was eventually you stepped outside, literally, of your home, your space, to
Mhm.
re-engage sort of in
Yeah.
society, right?
It was a game changer. And once I started doing that, my 40s were like just a whole different story. I was just tapping into, you know, connecting with other people, going out more, um, dancing more because I love to dance. And, you know, when I was younger, I would be the club kid and, you know, it just dancing and music was just my thing. And so, you know, as you get older, there's this idea that, you know, things just stop. And especially, you know, I'm a Christian, but at the time I was going to church. So that was a lot of things that I think that I couldn't do. But then I'm like, oh no, I can still do these things. You know, it's nothing wrong with dancing to music and moving your body. And like these are things that are part of me, and it's something that I could never like cut out of my life. So once I was able to tap back into that, there was just so much freedom in that, and it made me feel so much better. I mean, so my 40s was just like bursting out of this box and just you know, exploring and discovering and just doing all these different things that was just making me extremely happy.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's really interesting, the dance as an example, because it does so much raising your endorphins and stuff. I mean, they recommend moving your body and dance, and it just brings joy, even if you do it for 5 minutes a day. So if you're getting out and doing it with other people, that's just such an interesting combination because there is a self-care aspect to it, that movement. And so as you started to come out and your 40s started to open up and you started back, you're back in life and feeling alive again, if I dare I say that. What, so you started going on this journey, doing the well beauty, like talk about that. Like, and you've been a creative director, so it'd be really helpful to understand your creativity in the process.
Right. So I am a clean beauty advocate. So 10 years ago, you know, I started off with my hair and just understanding what products I'm putting on my hair, and whatever I put on my hair goes through my body. And so I had a business that sold natural hair care products. It was called Cotton Kinks and Coils. So it was during the natural hair movement where, you know, black women were straying away from the chemicals and the perms and just, you know, embracing their natural hair. And so I decided to enter that arena and, you know, start understanding my hair and what it feels like and what works for it, and learning that, oh, these products really are the best for my hair, so let me find a natural way. So started that clean beauty journey with my hair, and then it kind of morphed into makeup because, you know, now we're talking about skincare and makeup and the ingredients that are in there that we put all over our bodies. The biggest organ is our skin, and not being aware of these toxic ingredients. And then on top of that, the makeup, because I think skincare, you know, we can use the butters, you know, skincare was more accessible with natural ingredients that you get from a supermarket, or, you know, the bars of soaps that your local soap person would make. But makeup was the thing where it was like not a lot of people are doing it at the time, and there's a lot of chemicals in it. So then I transitioned into the makeup aspect of it, and was on this mission to um, help educate, especially Black women, with transitioning their makeup into something that's safer and non-toxic for them. So that still is my big mission. But you know, along with that, being a creative, I always have to transition into something else. And with that said, Brown Skin Green Beauty was my main brand for the clean beauty, and now I transitioned into advocating for pro aging for women in midlife, because that's another um, arena where society kind of looks at us like we're not worthy, you know. And just to in my head at the time, I thought 50 was the midlife starting, right? But then I Googled it and it said 40. And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean this whole time I'm just like celebrating, I'm having a good time. And this whole time society is looking at me like, yeah, old lady. It's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, wow. And then when I started hearing other women talk about it, they were not as celebratory as I was with it. And so I began to make it my mission to change the narrative around aging, midlife, and getting older. And that's when I just decided to create, a platform for, women 40, 50, 60 and older. For my Instagram page is called the Midlife Glow Chaser. So I started that, and basically what that's all about is it's not that I'm chasing things to make me glowy happy. I already have the glow, but I need to keep that glow jar filled. So it's like I have it, but when it starts to go down, I'm chasing after something to help me keep it up and going so that I won't be back in the state that I was in my 30s feeling depressed about things not going however which way I thought they would go.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I think what's interesting is the through line is like at each stage, you've been almost creating to the stage or experiencing, you're experiencing this at this stage, postpartum, what have you, and like coming out of that shell and just, it's just interesting for you to go into the hair, the clean hair, and then the clean beauty, and then the well aging, because they're all interconnected as you look at your journey from, as we transition through different times in our life. And I think that's really fascinating. So I know that you and your partner Dixie have this incredible podcast called Life in the Pause, and you have a festival. It would be great if you kind of shared, separate of your Instagram, the story that got you into that and what you're hoping to accomplish, because I know it's all about mental wellness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how Life in the Pause got started, it really started when I turned 50 and I was in a stuck, like, so 40s was party time. When 50 hit, it was like I'm stuck again, and I'm just like, what do I do now? Do I want to shrivel or do I want to ascend? Do I want to thrive? And Life in a Pause is what my partner Dixie and I created as a festival. But the title came from me thinking about creating a blog based on being in the pause. Like, I hit 50. I feel like I'm in this jello mold. I can't go anywhere. I don't know what to do. So I'm pausing right now. So I'm in this pause trying to figure out my next move. And so, you know, Dixie and I are talking and we're, tapping into this menopause arena. And we thought, wait a minute, life in the pause. Life in the pause is not just about well aging, but it's also life during the menopause journey. So you have your perimenopause, your menopause state, and then you have your post menopause, which actually we're in menopause for the rest of our lives. So we created this platform that talks about menopause, well aging. We do it through education. We come in community and we celebrate it to death because it's something to, not feel like it's a doom and gloom situation, but it's part of our lives. It's something that we're going to experience. So why not make the best out of it and have a great time during this time?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I absolutely love the name because it kind of the double entendre. It's life in the pause, like the pause period of a woman's life in terms of transition and stuff. But then, it's also a time where you can take the pause, and pause and savor those moments. And I know, so I think it's just wonderful. And I think, I was hoping to attend the festival. I had to do it. I had a family thing. I bought a ticket and everything.
Yeah.
It's really sad to miss it. It looked fantastic. So talk about the community you're creating. Because I think again, that's about wellness, bringing community and connectedness together.
Yeah, so it's about, just bringing women together to really connect on the same level as we are during this time in our lives, during this midlife journey, during this menopause journey. And we want to create a safe space so that we can have these kitchen table conversations around the whole menopause topic, around the pro aging, well aging topic, because, sometimes people don't have people to talk to about that, because some women are still like, don't put me in that category. I will never talk about menopause or aging. Don't talk to me about aging because I'm not there yet. And it's like, it's okay to talk. So we're creating this safe space so we can all have this conversation about it. And the fact that, Dixie and I really embrace it and really enjoy this time. We just want women to see and inspire women to release it, just release that stress, release that stigma, because it only weighs you down and it doesn't serve you. So let it go, come to the table, and let's just kiki and talk, and learn some things about yourself, learn some things about, what to expect during this time, this menopause journey, and just be, open to hearing ways of how you can embrace, the aging process. Because it can seem scary how society would like for us to believe aging should be, but it's not. It really isn't.
Well, what I love is just the positivity that you both bring to the table. I mean, meeting you now and just hearing the story, it just really, being postmenopause and understanding that to bring that joy to this phase, like embracing the fact that we're alive, we're in our next phase. We have so much freedom after in a way. And it doesn't not come with complications. We know that there's complications, but I think the other thing is, Monique, I think it's about attitude. And that's what you're saying is like bringing, that attitude. And so I think it's interesting. I mean, and I'm kind of curious. I don't know if you have a take on this, but like, how many years do you think it's been? Because I feel like this is a year menopause has been like out in a big way, but I feel like it's been out for a few years. What are your thoughts on that? When did you feel the conversation was beginning?
I feel like I would say 2 years ago, honestly. I would say it's relatively new. It's relatively new. It was a slow start, and then it was like boom, it just took off like 2 years, and boom, like everybody's talking about it. You see it we have commercials now about, menopause. We have so many platforms, a lot of women talking, doctors having things, experts, like it's just exploding. And I think it's pretty fast how it's exploding. um but it's a great thing because we all need that information, but I think we also need um options with the information, because I feel like there's just a one note conversation around certain things. And I think the more that these platforms are being created and people are discussing it, the more we'll have a whole lot of different options for us to choose, which is good because I'm all about the options in anything that I do. But yeah, it's exploded.
Which is great for all of us. I mean, are you finding, because I know that you talked about your hairline and your makeup line, brown skin, green
Brown skin, green beauty. Hmm.
green beauty. So are you, when you look at menopause, because I mean, there's differences amongst all of us. Are you looking specifically at women of color? Are you looking across the board? Are you serving with life in the pause? Is it accessible to everybody?
Hmm. Oh yes, it's definitely inclusive. Um, but for us, we just want to make sure that Black women are our lead. We center them, because we are two Black women, because we've experienced, being the last to be privy to any information, because we are the group that get the products that have all the toxins in it, and we don't get the education to understand, like, this is not this is not good, and what to look for so that you won't purchase it. Like this, we're so behind and so overlooked with stuff that we're just like, okay, our platform, everyone's included, but just know that we have, our women in mind going in. So,
And I think
yeah.
that's important. I totally honor that and respect that. I think it's really important to create that type of community where your women are at the center. It's such a it's so inexplicable what you're suggesting to me, but obviously it exists. So I'm not going to pretend to think I don't know it exists. But I think what's also interesting is the different experiences we all have. So as I understand, menopause is different for, all different ethnicities. So, like I'm trying to think, I have more hot flashes, more like night sweats, but it
Hmm.
wasn't horrible. Probably brain fog, stuff like that, typical stuff. But like as you are educating around life in the pause and doing that, are you talking a lot about the symptoms and the experiences
Oh
specific?
yeah. For life in a pause, yeah, we definitely talk about the symptoms, the signs and solutions to that, and definitely bringing up facts of, how Black women are affected by it more than the other group of women. Um, like the education, the education is what we're so big on with life in a pause because there was lack of information and resources to us. I mean, to all women at first, and then even more so to us because we're just not in that lineup of, receiving the types of tools that we need. Um, but yeah, so education is our thing. Education, one, community, yes, because we need community, but I feel like celebration is just missing out of all of this, especially starting out. It was just very heavy. Like education is good, but a lot of education on top, like just sitting there and just hearing all this stuff, it weighs on you.
It does.
And it freaks you out because it's like, oh my God, is this what I have to look forward to? Or, this is what I'm going through. It's a lot to take in. But to have that moment, that breather, and be like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And as we're learning, we are finding joy and finding peace in it and just carrying on through with some kind of celebration going on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. And I'm kind of the mindset. One VC told me, don't build it and they will come. Do your research. And I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, well, I'm more a build it and they will come kind of gal. I didn't say that to her. I just observed. But what I'm saying too is
Yeah.
I'm using that saying because build it and they will come. And then
Yes.
the thing that's also been very interesting to me with all the women I've interviewed in the women's health space, and these are women both with conditions, different life stages, as well as the experts, is every one of them is accessible. To
Yeah.
talk about these things that are heavy, to your point, to make them accessible and to do it with in a celebratory way versus a stigma, a shame sort of way, like to sort of reverse the script, reframe the narrative, as you said. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing. And I think that you and Dixie are doing a phenomenal job at that. And then you're accessible as humans. So
Right.
women can feel they can connect with you because I think it's really hard opening. If you don't feel you're in a safe space or in a safe, like right now room, it's you and
Yeah.
me, this container,
Yeah.
you're not going to share, you're not going to talk, and
Oh,
you're not going to want to, and you probably won't even listen because you don't feel comfortable.
exactly. And that's what we're witnessing at Life of the Pause that everyone feels so comfortable that they speak up, and they share and they share. I was like, wow, okay. Because we have a couple of guys, that would either photographer and videographer, and I'm like, whoa, they're getting a whole lot of information today because everyone is just feels so comfortable to share their experience, and I really get excited to see that and that we created something where people just feel comfortable to be themselves.
That's beautiful. And you should feel really proud of that. So I'm curious, I'm going to throw in the second question, which is, how are you marching for mental wellness? Like, what do you do for Monique? And what do you do in large for business or whatever you're doing?
Mm. Well, for me, I am just continuing to tap into play just to help. I mean, last couple of years, my word of the year was play, and I played. I traveled. You know, I auditioned for, a senior dance team. I background acting. I was just out there, just doing it all up. And I feel like this year I have to I gotta really dig deep to play, and really kind of like go within and just find a different way of taking better care of myself mentally. So whether that be, you know, therapy, which, I'm getting my therapist, um, taking a moment to get what did she call it? A healing massage. It's a certain type of healing, energy healing massage. Doing that, but just really honing in on taking care of my mental state that way. And so far it's been pretty good, pretty good. And as for being creative, it's my life in the pause. That's my creative outlook right now because we're new with it, and my creative part that I play into is I help create the vibe, the the decorating, the orchestrating, the run of show, and like it's a whole big puzzle. Like getting speakers and seeing who matches up with whom, and just creating this whole environment is my creative outlet. So I've been concentrating on that these days because soon it'll be October, and I gotta be ready to rock and roll for the festival. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I think it's really, I think it's, well, you made the comment that this year it's been a little different. So you have to find that play in you. And
Mm-hmm.
this year is probably different for a lot of us, for all of us women, for
Yeah.
most of us. I shouldn't say all
Yeah.
of us. It's a
Mm-hmm.
heavier time to your point. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and I'm like, I'm always happy and whatever. And, since January, there's been a weight on me. It's been just really different. And I have to work on it to get out. And I play in different ways. And so I think hearing that, I think that's a really good thing to tell the audience to say, like, March for Mental Wellness, find your play, find your inner play, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's
I
really,
mean,
I
it's I think tapping into your inner child and finding what was innocent and joyful. It really helps you as an adult as well too. I mean, I never thought of it that way, but when I tapped into that and it ignited something in me, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that this lay dormant in me and didn't even know that I can pick up where I left off with that type of joy.
oh, I
And
love
it
that.
helps so much. Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. It's funny that you say that, Monique. I have two daughters and a son, and my middle daughter talks a lot about going into the inner child. Mom, you need to do some inner child work. But I think it's interesting because to your point, we don't think of that. And but if you go out and you find play, I guess
Mhm.
it's not us giving our inner child some space, right? And I think that's all about wellness, is finding that play, that it's that self-care, it's acknowledgement, and it's so it's so interesting. So, you're into life in the pause is giving you a lot of not just a wonderful creative outlet, but you're living it. So it's lived experience, it's expertise. You're curating, wellness, if you will. Talk a little bit about the well-aging side of it. So, like, what are your thoughts on that as you look at life in the pause? How are you imagining moving forward with that?
Oh, well, with well aging, I mean, you just got to show up. I feel like with well aging, you have to be the example. And it's not necessarily with showing you how I do it to how I age well. It's like, let me show it as Monique, but however I tap into what brings me joy, because really well aging is about finding that, having that joy. If you're not happy, well, aging is not going to be as easy as you think it is. And well, aging is not about, anti wrinkle, or the perfect body, or actually, well, aging is embracing what you have, accepting your authentic beauty, accepting your authentic weight, and just being, and taking care of yourself, with your health, and just finding that time for you, and being your true self, honestly, is what the well aging is all about. And so with life in the pause, like I said, it's just being an example, Dixie and I being an example of what well aging is for us. And I think, like I said, well aging for everyone, the common denominator is that joy, that happiness, that thing that sparks, that spark that's in you that helps you to shine through all of that.
I like this shine through all of that. That just totally makes sense because when you think of well aging, like embrace and I really appreciate the embracing where you are, showing up and embracing where you are. Because yeah, we have to do things like from a health perspective, we have to eat healthier, we have to do, exercise and stuff. But I like defining it more as a mindset versus
Mm-hmm.
a physical thing that we have to do. Like to your point, it's not about getting rid of wrinkles and stuff. It's about, how you feel. So,
Yeah.
and that can get really deep, right? So it's like,
For sure.
yeah, wow. This has been such an interesting conversation. Monique, as we're coming to a close, I love to ask this question. This is your platform to give a message to women of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all cultures. What do you want to leave them with?
I would like to leave them with, especially women in their 30s, just be aware of the changes in you, like the subtleties of those changes, because those are the little tiny red flags that can, you know, inform you that something's about to go down. Um, Someone asked me that same question, and I would say, I told them that, like, if you see somebody who's, typically, normal, happy, but you see a little change in how they're presenting themselves, or, they're a little bit irritable, not crazy irritable, but just those little subtle things that you're like, it's pretty, off for her to be, going in that route or saying these things. But those little things, just be mindful of, because they can, just help you understand sooner than later, what's going on, and that you can kind of work on, or try to really get to the bottom of what's happening, so that you can get back to your happy self sooner than later. Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard about it coming sort of from a perimenopause, from a certain life stage, which I think is a really helpful piece of advice, which is, so I think that's great. I really appreciate that. And I think, that is a great message for women around the world when you're in these phases and you see red flags. I mean, know something, be aware. And I think that it's great for companies like yours, like Life in the Pause, doing all this education and creating this community, which bring women together to share stories and connect and exchange ideas about this phase.
Yeah.
Like, because I wonder, the one thing that we didn't talk about was that feeling of potentially aloneness in that in
Mm,
that in that early part of your journey.
yes, that was a lot to just feel like I had friends, I had family, but for some reason I just felt like let me just keep it to myself because I don't even know if it was about not wanting anyone to know about it, but I think I just really felt like it's my thing. Let me figure out what's going on. Let me handle it. Um, but that wasn't good. You definitely need to have community and be open to sharing your experience because you'd be surprised how many people are going through the same thing at the same time. And I learned that going forward, like, yeah, I'm just going to speak, and then if I can help somebody, or if someone can help me, that's great. But you have to communicate in order to help yourself feel a bit better going through these dark times. Yeah.
Well, I think it's great. I think what you and Dixie are doing with Life in the Pause, you should be so proud. I celebrate you and thank you so much for getting under the hood with me today.
Hey, thank you. I love this, Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Under the Sisterhood. If you haven't already, please give us a quick rating and review on Apple or Spotify. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn so you can hear from more amazing women. This podcast is created and hosted by Under the Sisterhood LLC and Elizabeth Elfenbein, produced by Elizabeth Elfenbein and Matt Butler, and edited by Matt Butler. The music is by Ayla Schaefer. Her song, Rose.